Alright, so my name is Lee Shinzi Lee, and I am a 15-year-old student who is going into ninth grade next year and also applying for high school next year. And so today I'm here with my design of a new pair of shoes that I have been drawing and making a model in for a really long period of time. So the very first time I got in touch with sneakers, it was the year when I was like 12 years old, and it was almost suddenly that people around me were starting to wearing these fancy clothes and these fancy sneakers. In their word, it was called fashion, but to me, it was just basically showing off in family backgrounds. However, I was like still 12 years old, and I was so into it. I thought it was like so cool, and I wanted to be a part of it. I eventually got my first pair of sneakers. It was like the Balenciaga Triple S into my collection. My first pair of designer sneaker. After weeks and weeks of begging to my mom and parents and right after that, I found myself I couldn't stop myself browsing over these websites with like expensive sneakers and fancy sneakers, and I really wanted them. In fact, right, I had that eager of really wanting to wear them and feel how they are and look at the details on the shoe. And to me, they're like really beautiful. They're like the most beautiful thing in the world. And so after maybe 2 years later, I had like 20 pairs or 25 pairs of sneakers in my collection. And so finally, however, there was like a downside of me collecting sneakers. I got a habit of actually looking over each pair of sneakers and finding things that I really don't like and playing the what if game, saying like, what if I'm this designer of this pair of shoe? What would I do better? And so I got out of a lot of ideas, and that was like the first time I was thinking about being a designer and actually drawing my own shoe. And a couple of weeks later, one of my friends came over to my house to play, and so he was actually shocked by the numbers of pairs of sneakers I had. And so he knew that I had some basic on drawing, and so he offered me this chance of going into this competition, a shoe design competition, a sneaker design competition. Although I knew I wasn't getting anything out of that competition, I wasn't going to win in that competition, but that offer actually hit it right onto the place that I was thinking about. And so I started to learn shoe designing and sneaker designing, not just designing, but also like skills on computers, for example, AI and Photoshop. And so now I've been learning designing for 1 whole year. And so here comes the very first pair of sneakers that I have finished the process of designing, coloring, and also 3D model. Alright, the model of this pair of shoes actually came from the very first pair of shoes that I have ever sketched on paper. And I have to say that pair of shoes was not a really good design. And so basically what I did back then was just taking things out from online, which parts that I thought was really cool and really just sticking them together into one part, which it looked pretty cool when you look at it, but then when you actually look at it as a whole, as a shoe, right, that pair of shoe has a lack of unity, which what I did these days was actually shaping this whole shoe into the right shape and into my own idea, adding my understanding of pair of shoe into this sneaker. And so the main idea around this pair of shoe is really just about the human body. What I've been thinking about is actually bones and muscles and tendons and also muscle. To me, really, so first of all, this pair of shoe is actually only for these great athletes and or athletes who does these, right, real competitive sports, not just basketball, but also, I don't know, tennis, running, things like that. And so, to me, for these people who are doing these sports, of course, if you're just wearing a shoe, walking to somewhere else for one day and you're not doing any sports. And so, of course, if you're just walking on with a daily shoe into a supermarket and buying some fruit, right, that pair of shoe is supposed to be comfortable in wearing and also maybe looking fancy. However, this pair of shoe is actually only for these athletes or great athletes who does competitive sports. And for these athletes, right, these sneakers, no matter how fancy it is, right, the most important thing is really just about to me, as in my understanding, right, sneakers to these athletes are actually an extension of their body, of feet. And so what I basically did is really just making this shoe a part of human's body. And as you can see, these parts, this one and this one and this one, they're supposed to be white and looking like bones. And also other parts which look like vessels and also tendons and muscles. Um, of course, I just disorganized the order of bones and muscles and how they should be looking in an actual human body in order to keep um, fashion still, right? The outlook of the shoe. And so there has been a lot of tough spots while learning design and also designing my own pair of shoe, right? And so if I were to have to list out an example, right, first of all, that would be really just making this pair of shoe, this one. So I learned that designing is not just about drawing or using AI Photoshops. It's also about like actually handling, like using clay as a model, making yourself dirty, and making this pair of shoe like a 3D model in order to see how if there's any mistakes. However, I wasn't so good at it, right? First of all, I cut a lot of things out and I've wasted a lot of materials and also time. But eventually I came out to be this pair of shoe. And um, while making this pair of shoe with clays and 3D models, right, I found out that when I was drawing the shoe, back part of the shoe was actually too long. And it's possible for people to get stuck into some place, for example, when you're going downstairs, where it's possible for you to fall since this part of the shoe is too long, and it's possible for people to get stuck in some place. Right, and so luckily I was able to see that while doing this 3D model. But I believe that while just drawing or on Photoshops with the 2D sketches, I wasn't able to see that much stuff. It was just basically, oh, this one looks good, and I'll just put that onto my drawing. And so overall, this is a pair of shoe that I have designed for the past whole year, working with my teachers and also myself. Have been putting a lot of effort in, and so I really hope you guys like it.